Analyzing the alternative portfolios. The three portfolios we are comparing are shown on the following range, H1:N4. Notice that the three optimized portfolios are significantly different in composition. For example, the first maximizing mean portfolio contains 90% of its worth in Palladium, whereas the third minimizing standard deviation portfolio only suggests a share of 3.9% on this metal. Evidently, their potential outcomes show significantly different results. Clearly, Portfolio 1 creates the largest expected or mean outcome at over $256,000. However, it is the riskiest portfolio of them all. It has the largest standard deviation at $144,000, more than 3 times the volatility of either one of the other two portfolios. This is closely related to the fact that its major component, Palladium, is clearly the most uncorrelated asset to the remaining three metals. You might intuitively think that Palladium would be the most volatile of the assets. This could probably have an impact upon the large volatility of Portfolio 1, but this is certainly not the case. This can be proved just by taking a look at the following table that we created at the beginning of this module. Out of this report generated with the data viewer, with the report in Excel option, we have included a last column calculating the coefficient of variation. Remember that the coefficient of variation is an expression of relative volatility. It is calculated dividing standard deviation by the mean. By this measure, Palladium has the second lowest coefficient of variation, at 0.52. In other words, the standard deviations of the price of Palladium only account to roughly half its average value. Silver, on the other hand, for example, has standard swings that might account to 0.72 with respect to the value of its respective mean or expected value. In other words, Palladium's volatility does not seem to explain the inherent volatile nature of Portfolio 1. As a matter of fact, it is correlation what mostly explains the volatile nature of a heavily weighted Palladium portfolio. Palladium is only mildly correlated to the rest of the other assets. Sometimes its price resembles the swinging nature of the remaining three other metals and sometimes it takes a life of its own. Take a look again at the correlation thumbnail composition we generated earlier. If we were to drag out the historic scatter plot of gold against Palladium, we would see the following plot. There exists a definite historic data set for which Palladium prices historically changed within a range from approximately $160 to $1,100, for which the corresponding gold price remained constant at about $300 to $400. Therefore, it is the uncorrelated nature of Palladium in this portfolio what triggers its high volatility, and does not allow it to reap the benefits of diversification. On the other hand, Table 8 shows that portfolios 2 and 3 have a significantly different structure and optimization objective. However, they produce a very similar outcome. Both possess roughly the same probability of losing value during the time horizon, 24%. They also have roughly the same probability of surpassing a final value of more than $300,000 at 5%. The mean outcome is slightly higher for Portfolio 2, the VAR minimizing portfolio, at $230,000. Compared to $227,000 for Portfolio 3, the standard deviation minimizing one. The fact that between these two minimizing risk portfolios, the VAR minimizing one seems to be achieving its objective slightly better than the standard deviation minimizing one, may be due to the asymmetry of the forecast curve. Remember that standard deviation is a relative measure of variation towards both tails of the distribution, the left tail focused on losses and the right tail focused on gains. This measure assumes symmetry on the distribution, whereas it can be seen that this output is clearly not symmetric. The VAR minimizing method focuses only on the left tail of the distribution, by attempting to find the curve for which the fifth percentile is shifted the most towards the right. In this sense, the VAR approach does not care about what happens on the left-hand tail of the distribution. Conclusively, if we were to recommend an aggressive investment approach, we would probably suggest Portfolio 1, a basket of assets heavily weighted by Palladium. If on the other hand, the investor would be interested on minimizing risks, we could probably recommend Portfolio 2, minimize VAR, one with more gold than any other asset and some portions of platinum and palladium, with a minimal representation of silver.